K&C Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan and 105.3 The Fan's video feed. You're welcome. And straight from A-Town, we bring you Austin Theory. Howdy, sir.
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So I got to know, we're getting hyped up for about a week and a half away, Raw Halloween in Dallas. And then you just kind of threw the picture of Halloween Havoc into turmoil just the other night. I got to know first, before we dive into all of that, where does Halloween rank in your holiday power rankings?
Man, I'd have to say Halloween's pretty high for me, just because I love horror movies. I actually have a lot of life-size horror characters in my house. It's crazy. Yeah, a lot of people are like, is that normal? I'm like, no, it's not normal.
But this is the one month of year when it is normal, right? Now everyone's like, that's fine.
Yeah, everybody's like, man, nice decorations. And I'm like, only if you knew. But I would say, man, it's definitely I really like Christmas, but I would say it's either one or two for me.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. And so I got to know, because I was watching it's the Royal Rumble 24/7, but obviously it focused a lot around you, and you seem like you're a big fan going back a long time, and maybe kind of a historian of WWE and the business and everything. Is that, first of all, is that accurate before we go any further?
Absolutely, man. Since I was 8 years old, all I ever wanted to be was a WWE superstar. And from that point on, I've tried to literally figure out everything I can to do to get to becoming a WWE superstar.
And you, obviously NXT has adopted the Halloween Havoc moniker for several years now. Did you ever get the chance to go back and watch any of the WCW Halloween Havocs? Because I know that would not have been when you were growing up, because they had already folded up shop by then.
Yeah, I specifically remember the Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio Halloween Havoc. I think everybody enjoys that classic. I think really going back, I haven't seen too much of that, but maybe that's something to do, especially right now around Halloween.
Yeah, there is. If you get the opportunity, I want to say it's maybe Halloween Havoc 1993. Just go check out on Peacock, shameless plug right there, the intro with Tony Schiavone. Even if you don't have time to watch the whole event, there's about a 5-minute intro. It's going to change your life. I don't know if it's for the better or worse, but it's going to change your life for sure.
That sounds good to me.
Okay. Now, in more pressing manners, I have to admit, I was a bit surprised. I'm sure that's the idea. You show up on NXT with the briefcase, seem to throw a bit of extra question marks onto Halloween Havoc. How, I guess, fun or nerve-wracking is it carrying around the briefcase and being able to kind of bounce around like that?
Man, I'd say the Money in the Bank contract has been nothing but excitement. Just being in all these different scenarios. Even at one point, I was just feuding with everyone. It's great, man. You know, you definitely have a target on you, even though it's not a championship. Everybody knows what that means, and it's pretty much me just walking out or walking around without the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Or could it be me walking around without the NXT Championship?
See, you got to get that tease going for Saturday. I get what you're doing. We talked with Seth Rollins. We had him in studio years ago when he had the Money in the Bank, and he said he had to turn it into like a utility item where he would start packing things in it for travel purposes as well, since you got to take it everywhere. Have you adopted that concept?
Absolutely, especially when you're a carry-on man and not a check bag man. So getting on the plane with 2 carry-ons and one of them being the Money in the Bank contract, you kind of gotta you gotta really figure out, and manage, where you're gonna put everything. But usually I got a lot of protein shakes, tuna packets in there. Usually by the end of the weekend, it's a lot of clothes in there. Yeah, man, take advantage of that Money in the Bank contract before I cash it in.
You just hit on something I'm really big on. We have to travel a lot in this line of work as well, whether it's Cowboys training camp, spring training, Super Bowl, whatever. Let's talk about the brilliance of just being a carry-on person versus a check bag person, because those people, when they travel with you, they just slow you down.
That's it, dude. No check bags over here, dude. We ain't got time for that. We got shows to make.
Now, I was hoping for, I think a lot of people like kind of know your journey with bodybuilding and everything like that. But for maybe for people who aren't as familiar, you said, especially when you were a kid, you knew this is what you wanted to do and you wanted to do whatever it would take to get there. I'm hoping you can kind of like catch our audience up who might not know about this, like what all that entailed.
Yeah, so just really fast, at 8 years old, I seen WWE for the first time. 12 years old, started working out just for the sole purpose of getting ready to be a WWE superstar. Continued working out every single day, never took a month off, a day off, a year off, and just kept training. When I got around 17, closer to 18, I started trying to figure out, okay, what's the plan? Because I wasn't really interested in college and all that. I wanted to be in the WWE. So I was trying to figure out what I could do. So at 17, I had a friend that had a bodybuilding show. He won his show and said, "Hey man, I got a tryout for my show. Do you want the info?" And the way I am, I don't like to, have the easy way. I don't want to be handed an email and send somebody an email. So I was like, "Oh, cool. If I win a bodybuilding show, it seems like I'll get a tryout." And he was like, "Yeah,
Right.
man, that's yeah." So 17, did a bodybuilding show, won Mr. Teenage Georgia, won overall, and didn't hear a damn thing. So I was like, man, I got to really figure out what I'm going to do. So then I found a wrestling school in Atlanta. It wasn't in the best area, but I will say, man, my trainer, AR Fox, man, he helped me so much. Just the detail and really that work and that grind of going anywhere, doing a show, no matter if you're getting paid or you are getting paid, just showing your face and being more well known. And I took advantage of that at a very young age. I started on the road when I was 18 and been wrestling since 2016 professionally, and just kind of just kept my head in it and started learning how to get more well known, and it kind of took off from there. And then 2019 I signed with the WWE.
How do you kind of balance, because obviously you're exceedingly young and you did the chosen one stuff with Vince McMahon and everything like that. How do you balance that versus like real life perception of what you just said? Is like you went through Evolve, you trained with AR Fox, and like people might just think, oh, here's this young kid who's just handed everything. Do you ever like want to take a second and be like, hey man, I like worked really hard and busted my ass for like little money here and there to get where I am?
So for me, when it comes to all of that, I think everybody that chooses to want to know that will know that, because it's not hard to find, especially on the internet, knowing, you know, my passion for this, and even talking about the WWE 24, about the Rumble. That's a perfect example of just showing, my past for a little bit. But honestly, man, and it's funny, especially being a bad guy saying this, but you can't care about what anybody thinks, and you can't really worry about who knows your story and who doesn't. Because I think when people see somebody that stands out or just has something, it creates interest and it creates people wanting to know more about this person. And I think that's the cool thing about it, is everybody getting to see this character and everybody hating this guy, and kind of getting to see, well, let me look more into it. And I think anytime you watch a really good movie and you see an actor you've never seen before and they really just catch you, and you're like, wow, you want to know more about them. You're like, what movies were they in? And then you're looking at other stuff and reading their bio. I think it's cool when it happens like that. I feel like sometimes when you know too much about somebody and you start watching them, you start critiquing or criticizing things. And I think you have more of an open mind, especially, people that have no idea that I grew up a lifelong fan, or that I've been working, since I was 12 years old to look this way. It just didn't happen, when I was 20 and started working out. But it's cool for them to be able to go back and see that. But for me, I'm just one of those people. I don't need to tell everybody everything. I feel like they'll learn it on their own if they really care.
Well, I'll help tell it for you. You should go check out the Royal Rumble doc, because it might not fit your character because you are very despised by a lot of people. But in that moment, you came off as exceedingly likable to wrestling fans when you were like, no, seriously, y'all, I'm going to be in the Royal Rumble. How cool is that? Like, that felt
Yeah.
like a really genuine moment.
Yeah, man. I remember that interview too. I remember all that stuff, because you grew up watching it. And I'm like, wow, man, I'm sitting here getting interviewed for the Royal Rumble. It's just crazy, man.
Well, speaking of things that could potentially be crazy, and I know it would be an instance where y'all would clearly need to butt heads, but a lot of chatter about perhaps John Cena. And I know what he means to you, but that's another instance where I'm hoping you could tell the people what would it mean to be paired up with John Cena, especially given your fandom.
Wait, who's that? No, I'm just kidding.
You see,
I'm
you
just
already
messing
got
with
me. You already got me buying in. Now I want John Cena to kick your ass. I get it.
Man, when it comes to John Cena, that's I mean, that's somebody that's motivated me my whole life. That's who got me motivated to wanting to be a WWE superstar. But you know, there's a lot of comparisons. There's a lot of things that people like to put together with us. I understand it, I see it, and I respect it, and I appreciate it. I love, you know, getting to be my own person though, and being the first Austin Theory. But when it comes to me and John Cena, we had that one interaction on Monday Night Raw, and I just pretty much told him who Theory was. You know, I let him know that Austin Theory's here. You know, 24 years old, becoming the youngest United States champion. John Cena, 24 years old. He's had a lot of championships, but at 24, he didn't have any. So just reminding people about that, you know, and I definitely that's a match that I would love to have. That's a match that I think there's a lot of people that would love to see, and just the dynamic of the generations colliding. I think it'll be really cool, and I think when it happens, it's going to happen at the right time.
Are you, people always joke about, especially with the changes over the last couple months, congratulations on getting your first name back, but are you sad at all to have your first name back? Did you like just the Theory moniker?
So for me, I always try to be positive about everything and figure out how can I make this work without sitting here and making it a big deal. Because at the end of the day, that's one of those things that pretty much usually stays permanent, you know? So for me, growing up, a kid in the backyard wrestling on the trampoline, calling myself Austin Theory as a kid, me coming up with that name meant so much to me. I never not wrestled without it until it was taken away. Um, at the time when I was named just Theory, the way it was explained to me and the way it was put was, you know, Theory just seems like it could stand alone and be its own thing. And when it comes to WWE and people hear the name Austin, typically they think of Stone Cold. So it all made sense, you know. But everybody has their own opinions and stuff, you know, because to me, you know, you look at actors, you look at music artists, even if somebody has a similar name, you know, for example, like rap, like there's Lil Baby, there's The Baby, but those two have their own, you know, style and the way they do things. And I think that's how me and Stone Cold Steve Austin are, whether I have Austin Theory or I'm just Theory. But to me, I'm glad it's back because that's what I started with. But I don't think it really mattered to me too much. It's just having it back now, though. It's great because that's what I started with.
Now, we talked about Halloween Havoc coming up on Saturday. Maybe we see you there, maybe we don't, to be determined. But exactly, October 31st, American Airlines Center, Monday Night Raw here in Dallas. And then also the added element of obviously it being on Halloween. What type of atmosphere are you expecting? Not that Raw is not always a fun time, but this feels like it might be a little bit different.
Yeah, man. I'm sure that weird Dexter Loomis guy is yeah, he's probably gonna do something weird. Especially around Halloween. It's gonna get crazy. But who knows, man? You might see some very interesting costumes or some interesting attire, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be very exciting, man, especially, you know, anytime being out there in Texas, man. It's always great. So it's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Well, since you get to be in Texas, are you by chance, I know you mentioned growing up in Georgia and everything, are you by chance a Cowboys fan? Are you a Falcons fan? Where do your sports allegiances lie?
Man, so what's funny about me is I don't watch sports, man, but I think it's so great hearing people talk about it and they get so into it. And they're naming all these people and man, this guy can't catch or man, this guy does this play like this. Like it's so great. And I'm like, man, I have no idea what's going on.
What I feel like I just heard is your sports fandom is up for grabs, and we can just bribe you to come on over to the Cowboys.
I mean, you know, I'm Mr. Money in the Bank, but I don't, you know, I don't mind putting more money in the bank. You know what I mean? So
Well,
maybe you
we'll
can
talk.
bribe me.
We'll talk with Jerry Jones tomorrow. He got lots of money, so maybe we can make something happen there.
Hey, that sounds good to me, man.
Man, I appreciate the time very, very much. Good sir. Saturday, Peacock Network, Halloween Havoc, October 31st, Monday Night Raw here in the Metroplex at the American Airlines Center in Dallas. Appreciate the time very much, good sir. Best of luck going forward.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.